Hi, my name's Jason. In this video, I am going to do a comparison of a couple of budget versus a premium interface. The two budget interfaces that I'm looking at are a Focusrite Scarlet Solo and a Steinberg UR12. The premium interface that I've got here is an Apogee Quartet. Now, the two budget interfaces are very comparable. They both cost about $125 US. The Apogee Quartet is a lot more hardware. It doesn't really compare on a price, but if you want a price comparison, Apogee also made a one-channel interface that was about 300 bucks. So I just want to make clear that this isn't really a gear review. I'm doing this explicitly for the purpose of testing the sound quality of the interface. I will talk at the very end about some features that I think are interesting in an interface, but I'm not really comparing and contrasting the features on these units. So the rest of this video is going to proceed in 4 parts. 1, I'm going to tell you how I set up my test. 2, I'm going to show you the results of the test. 3, I'm going to discuss what I think about the results. And 4, then I will get into talking about some of the features that I think are useful in addition to just being concerned about the sound quality of your interface. So I'm a singer-songwriter, and the core of what I do is an acoustic and vocal performance, so that is exactly what I did to test the interfaces. I'm going to test a vocal plus banjo performance for each interface, and we're going to compare the results. Now, I'm sorry if you don't like banjo. I chose banjo because it has a very sharp transient and a very delicate resonance, so I thought that would be a good test. If a budget interface is going to try to save some money, they're probably going to try to preserve as much performance on a human voice as possible because that is the #1 use case of all of these interfaces. So I'm going to do a separate performance for each of the interface, and then I'm going to mix it, and I'm going to show you the mix. I don't think that the solo tracks really matters because it really matters how they present in context for the final result. Just like when you're mixing, soloing doesn't necessarily help you that much to get a good result. It's always about everything in context. So after I record the tracks, I set up a mix template with Universal Audio plugins in Logic Pro. I'm tweaking the levels a little bit. I'm basically just taking the tracks as they are, and I'm trying to present them in the best possible light. So I'm not trying to make them sound the same per se. If there are minor differences in the underlying track, that's going to have some consequences on how I EQ it and whether or not the reverb really sounds good, which I will be discussing at the end. So this is one of my original songs called Weyburn. I recorded a full studio version of it with trombone and percussion. So if you like what you're going to hear in a minute here, I really hope you do check out the full studio version. I will link below. So you're going to see the song being performed, and I'm going to cut between the recordings from the interfaces, and it's going to be very obvious. You're going to see sort of the background colors change. I'm not going to tell you which interface is which at the beginning. I'll tell you at the end. If you really want to know before you hear, it's in the comments below. Also, if you want to hear a lossless wave file recording of each of these, I will also link below. So here we go. This is the first half of the song called Weyburn.
Good morning, here's your ticket to another busy day. You can watch it with your eyes closed, just another remake. My plans are too big for this provincial town, which makes it the perfect place for hiding out. I will be breaking eggs behind closed doors. I will be faking the permission forms. Paper burns too easy. The inspiration's already ash and I'm still cold. crush a diamond from a mystery. The fire needs tending, the finest views, nothing trendy. The fire needs tending, the finest views, nothing trendy.
This is my opinion. As I said, it is about context. The Apogee tracks, I think, just mix a little bit better. The vocal, I thought, sounded better in the context of the room reverb. The banjo sounded more natural. It's kind of too bad that you didn't get to hear the banjo in real life. To me, the Apogee track for the banjo was noticeably closer to the real thing than the budget interfaces. It's still very subtle. I mean, yes, you can tell the difference. You're not squinting at it thinking, oh, is there any difference at all? Of course, tastes do vary, and you could choose the budget interface. But I think what most people like, whether they know it or not, is that they like the thing that sounds the most natural. The sound stages and the reverb treatment in the mix all brings you into the experience and makes you feel like you're there. So I certainly don't think that the budget interfaces sound bad. What I noticed is that the voice just has like these little bit of an EQ tweaks compared to the Apogee, but it wasn't something you can just reverse with another EQ treatment. EQ is not, turn it on, turn it off, and the effect is a wash. The banjo, it sounded just a little bit muddy and grungy on the budget interfaces. It was almost like someone had just, cranked up a bit of saturation on it. Overall, I think that they do all sound good. I think that the effect of the budget interface is very small compared to other pieces in the chain. The best sounding instrument, the best microphone, a good mix and master would have a much bigger effect than the interface itself. So I would take care of all of those things before I would worry about the quality of my interface. I would also worry a lot about my performance. If you make a really good performance, it will sound good regardless of all the other factors. So now just a few comments on the features of a interface that would be useful. The more buttons you have and the more readouts you have on your interface, the better your workflow. When I upgraded, I actually had a Steinberg a few years ago, and I upgraded to Apogee mostly because I wanted a couple of key buttons and I wanted to have the level meters clearly visible on the unit itself. It's much faster than picking up a mouse and trying to find your mute on your computer. It's just tap on, tap off. So that's it. I hope you got some value out of this. Again, if you want to hear the lossless file, that's linked below. If you like that song, I've got the full studio version with overdubs of trombone and percussion linked below. And on this channel, I talk about all the things I do here in my studio. I do gear reviews, I talk about process, and I do live performance on this channel. Please subscribe and have a great day.